It's been compared to Twin Peaks, Fargo, and True Detective. The Pale follows Agent Franklin Inc. on a series of supernatural crime dramas through Rocket Ridge, Arizona. Hi, I'm Sarah Faxon, and tonight I'm joined by the creators of the comic book The Pale, or the series The Pale, and we have here Jay and Sanders Fabares. Thank you guys so much for joining us here tonight.
Thank you for having us, yeah.
Yes, thanks.
Now, Jay Sanders and I met at Comic Fest a few months ago, and this is a part of our series honoring Comic-Kon, being that we aren't able to join the large groups of amazing fans and creators at Comic-Kon. Wanted to do something a little bit special to honor the different creatives in our wonderful literary world here today. So we are going to be talking all about The Pale and what it took to bring it to life, and about the story inside. It's a really cool story, and I hope you guys get intrigued by the review that I have done to to go ahead and support these creatives here. So guys, right off the bat, let's talk about what really inspired this murder mystery. What got you guys thinking about this incredible character, Agent Franklin Inc.?
It was originally just a flash of inspiration while I was watching Hannibal. And there was a scene in Hannibal, there's an episode where Hannibal encounters someone who is face blind. And like that just struck me as, what if a detective, or what if a FBI agent was searching for someone that they can't recognize, that they can't see. So after that episode, I ran upstairs and I drew a little sketch of Franklin Inc. I already knew his name. Like I just like, bam, bam, his name is Franklin Inc. And I drew him in a sea of smiley faces, because I just had this visual medium like representation of what I saw that could work as a comic. And it was a thing that I was playing around with, and and eventually it started gelling into what we have right now. And we're totally into the X-Files. We love character driven crime dramas. So Fargo, Twin Peaks, X-Files, True Detective Longmire, all that stuff. I eat it up. So.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and soon after she had the idea for the face blind portion of his character, we were thinking about, okay, how does an FBI agent, how do you even be an FBI agent with face blindness? So right. We wanted to give him round out his character with some other aspects, such as his linguistics and whatnot, his focus in that, because he's face blind, he's able to have strengths in other areas, such as linguistics and such.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it almost becomes his superpower in a sense.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, he really is. I love it. The first scene where you meet him, is at the speed dating event. And when Sanders told me his idea on how to introduce the face blindness, and he told me that, it just gelled. Like it made perfect sense on a way to introduce that character and show what he's capable of doing. So I thought it was really, really smart.
Yeah, and it's what I really loved about that was, at first thought, it's something very debilitating, not being able to recognize people's faces or expressions, and having to pick up of all these different cues that they make, or the sounds of their voices, like the dialectology, the tone that they use, the their accents and how they put their words forward. But Franklin's able to be like, nope, I'm going to use this and I'm going to rock it. And I really loved that he is able to overcome this condition that is really considered a disability, but for him, it's not. It's like I said, it's his superpower.
It's like Sherlock Holmes, like how Sherlock Holmes is able to, like, he sees a little bit of something and then he's able to work backwards to fill in the gaps. And very John Douglas too. So yeah,
a lot of people, when they think of FBI agents, they think of, the agents, or like the, going out into the field with the gun, doing that type of thing. But also, they don't really think about maybe the other specialists, which, the FBI employs a lot of specialists in different fields, such as linguistics and whatnot. So we kind of wanted to have an FBI agent, because we love FBI agents. We love, Mulder and Scully and Will Graham.
Everybody's
and
favorite FBI agents.
Oh, yes. Totally, yes.
Yeah. But we wanted to show maybe a different side of the FBI that people hadn't seen as much of, maybe.
The not so glamorous side, I guess. So, yeah.
Yeah, it really definitely brings to life a very real person. And that's something that I really appreciate too, where, he's wandering the desert at one point and gets the little dog with him.
Yes.
He's like, all right, you're my friend now. Like, this is how it's going to be.
He just rolls with it. So,
which is good, because there's some intense scenes in this.
Yeah.
That's kind of how writing was. We kind of we're going down this journey, okay, we have a character. And then Jay said, we need to have a cute character. We need to have a dog, a sidekick, something fun.
I was very much, there is this FBI agent and his dog. And Sanders, at the beginning, I don't know, do we really need the dog? I'm like, the dog has to be there.
So I will find a way.
I don't care. Just put the dog in. That's all I want.
Yeah, it definitely draws off a lot of things we like from Tintin, things like that. Whereas even though it's just a reference to it, it definitely we see a lot of our various interests in the book.
Yeah, I think I mentioned to Jay an email about how I picked up on Don Knotts.
Yes.
And how much that delighted me. So I really like how there's so many tributes to other either real world things or cultural references throughout the entire story. Now, there's one culture in particular that is woven throughout the entire story and is quite integral to the story. You want to talk about how the Navajo culture influenced these stories?
Well, when I first thought of Fink, I immediately thought of him in the desert. He was in the desert, and he would be dealing with the Navajo peoples, and that was it. That's all I thought about. So when Sanders jumped on, we started talking about the different mythologies that the Navajo or Dene people have, and we really tried to not focus so much on their mythology as a reference, but it's more in the background, right? So do you want to kind of elaborate more on that?
Yeah. So I in high school I started reading the Tony Hillerman books, which it's I guess for people that don't know about it, I would say it's kind of like Stephen King mixed with not so much horror, but mostly a murder mystery set in the Southwest. And they're pretty popular books. But it deals with Navajo police officers and whatnot. So I always wanted to do something that was kind of in that area with those types of scenarios, that sort of scenery setting. So I think that it's not so much about I don't want to make it about the culture, because obviously we're outsiders looking in, but I wanted to have that kind of backdrop. I wanted to base it on a border town that is kind of like the border towns that are there now, like Winslow, Flagstaff is a little further off. But I want to
find a lot of mixed people there. You'll find Spanish, Hispanic people, Navajo, whites, just multicultural, and what would that town be like? So that's kind of our take on it.
It also came into play with his linguistics. We got the character. We said, okay, he's a linguist, and so where could this linguist be that would be really interesting? And so and also we wanted to set it in the Southwest, because you see so many murder mysteries that are set in the woods or in the city or things like that, but you don't see too many that are based in the Southwest, and no comic murder mysteries that I've ever seen have been based in the Southwest. So that's kind of one of the reasons we wanted to go that route. But really, the Navajo mythology that they have is so just beautiful and interesting, and we wanted to do something that's not cliche, not not using their culture, but just
respectfully,
respectfully,
like nodding to it.
yeah.
So we've read a lot of blogs. We follow a lot of people from that area, just so we get this sense of who they are as a people, what interests them, what concerns them, and we try to interweave that
Authenticity.
Yeah, authenticity. We try to be
As much as
authentic.
possible.
Yeah.
That's the word I would use to describe the telling of the stories. I mean, it was to the extent where I was like, are they Navajo? It was really, really well represented. Also speaking from an outsider's perspective, but I mean, that's how much you drew me into the story. It was that level of research that went into it, and respect too. That was something I really appreciated of this story, was that even though there's tension, which I imagine is quite real tension between the police and the fictional town and the Navajo community that's there, that felt very real. And living in a border town in San Diego, those are stories that are familiar and that feel very true.
Yeah, we definitely wanted to highlight some of the qualities of living there in the town with the people and how they interact. And we're very careful with our research, and
we wanted the kids to just feel like kids. I mean, they do have different they do have different concerns and things that affect them living on the reservation, but also, I mean, they're teenage boys. They're so I did a lot of research on kind of getting into that.
They're fun to write. I like
Yeah.
I like the boys. They're very impulsive. It's fun.
Very teenage boys, yes.
Yeah.
Now, so your story, like you said, has so much research involved in it, and you are a very unique comic, which is wonderful because you stand out so much. I've said that Franklin Ike has these superpowers, and he's a superhero in his own sense, but he's not your sort of troped superhero or even your cliched FBI detective. Now, for aspiring comic book creators, do you guys have any top 3 advice or things that you would suggest that they do to try to make their comics stand out, or even just to start?
I know from the artistic side, The Pale is our first comic. Well, first off, so it's our first comic, and I'm amazed how far we've gone with it. But I would say for an artist if you want to get into comics, really look at the books that you like, and study them. Like, study the page flip, study the panels, like really take in the art and see how the storytelling, how an artist conveys like storytelling. And so that's one thing I would say as an artist.
Yeah.
So
I would say look at the things that you want. What do you want to see out there, and try to incorporate what you like with maybe what you are not seeing out there. Like, there's so many different bits that went into The Pale that it just combines everything we love, from mythology to murder mystery to just adventure, and just combine that with what you would really like to
like write what you love.
Yeah.
Like, I would say, like, study comics that you like and write about what you love, because like before we got onto this murder mystery, which is really like, that's our first thing, okay, but that's what I'm really into, and that's what he's really into. We like true crime, we like the supernatural. So once we kind of shifted gears onto stuff that we really like, it was much easier to stick with that project, because I've had other ideas in the past, but I would get caught up in the research and it just wasn't gelling. So yeah, like right when I saw that Hannibal episode, like I was already drinking the Kool-Aid of the X-Files, Twin Peaks. Like I was so like into it. And that's why, like, when I saw that episode, I had a character like immediately, and it's because that's what I'm into. So
yeah. Just don't be afraid to put a different spin on it or a different slant on it. You know, there's a lot of vampire stuff out there right now, but like it would just be lost in a sea of vampire stuff if you wanted to do a vampire story. So if you're gonna make yourself stand out, put a slant on it, but also putting a slant on it, putting a take on it makes it a lot more interesting. You know, if it's unique. So, and also another thing I would say is just don't be afraid of making mistakes.
yes, like,
You know,
write your first draft and get ready to toss that out the window. That was I have to learn.
but just like the process, like a lot of it for us has been learning the process of the pipeline, of how to work together, how to make a book. You know, there's no right way to do a comic book. It's just something you kind of learn along the way, and you take the things that work for you and you leave the ones that don't work for you, and eventually you come into something that is productive. So yeah, just don't you know, worry about, oh, am I doing this right? You know, should I be
It's
doing
got to
something
be
else?
perfect, the perfect script the first
Yeah.
time. No, it will never be perfect the first time.
Yeah.
So yeah, I would say that's our advice.
I had written, like, before trying to write a comic book, I wrote some prose, I wrote like screenplays in college, things like that. But like, I thought that writing a comic book would be way easier than it was. But it really wasn't, because it's a very strict formula. You have to think about like writing for the page flip, writing for the scenes, think about how the artist is going to interpret it and make it flow through the page. So it was a big learning curve, and just realize that when you start off making this comic, that you're gonna don't be afraid to change it, rewrite it, redo it.
Yeah.
Don't get caught up on things like, oh, what writing program will I use, or what, you know, just do whatever you can do, and be willing to learn as you go.
Yep.
And reach out and meet other artists that are trying to do the same thing, because a lot of us are in the same boat where we have these things that we're passionate about, but we maybe are just kind of discovering along the way how to make those a reality.
Yeah, finding your community is huge.
Yeah.
That's something I've discovered in these last few weeks, you know, going into shutdown and quarantine. It's so easy to kind of feel isolated and feel by yourself and think you're going through all these struggles on your onesies. But you hit it right on the nose. Find your fellow creatives, find fellow comic book illustrators, find fellow comic book writers, or anyone in your community, and it'll help you to get through struggles, because they're probably going through the same things too.
Oh yeah. For sure.
Mm-hmm.
Well, guys, this has been absolutely wonderful. I can't thank you two enough for coming in tonight. Be sure to subscribe and like to this channel, viewers. Be sure to hit that notification bell so you can be in the know whenever we release future videos. And if you have any questions for our friends here from the Pale, please leave those in the comments below. Thank you guys again so much for joining us. This has been awesome.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you.
To see how you can help make this community continue to grow, be sure to check out my community building camera video, the link to which is in the description below. Thanks again, guys.